I want to introduce you to the law offices of Vincent W. Davis at 888-888-6582. They're advocates for the rights of parents, grandparents, and guardians in juvenile dependency courts. Losing a child to a DCFS CPS social worker based on an anonymous call, complaint, or your ex-spouse is not only horrific, but it's commonplace. Everyone will agree that there's nothing more valuable than one's child. You cannot afford to fight this alone. Call the law offices of Vincent W. Davis at 888-888-6582. Connect with an attorney today. That's 888-888-6582. Get your kids back.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. This is Fight CPS with Sabrina, and I will be your host for tonight. We are at a different time today because Mr. Davis has a special show tonight, so I would definitely tune into that. On that note, I want to say that if you are going through something right now with CPS, a case, whatever your involvement is, I just got to tell you, like, you are so lucky and blessed to have found us and this channel. And when I was going through my ordeal, I'm telling you, my entire case would have been 100% different if I would have known about Mr. Davis and these shows. And they're so incredibly knowledgeable. And, you know, when you first get into this game, you really don't know what you're doing at all. I don't care who you are or what you say, unless you've really, really been through it, then you don't know. And you can't trust anyone in this system, unfortunately. So I just wanted to say that, like, really take advantage of these videos and educate yourself as much as you can. Good afternoon. I see you too. How are you guys doing today? So we don't have a guest for tonight, but I have plenty of stuff we can talk about. First of all, how many of you out there are going through this where the investigative worker calls you and you can never get a hold of the investigative worker? Sometimes you can get a hold of the worker until the paperwork is signed and they tell you you're going to have a permanent worker. But for some reason, I keep getting told over and over and over and over again that people are having a really hard time getting through to that investigative worker. And it is very important. I also went through the same thing. It's important because the investigative worker is the one who is going to be investigating. They're the ones who are going to look at all the paperwork, and they're the ones who are going to be in court and making the deals with you, basically. I know when it was my case, before I ever talked to a public defender or really anyone, it was the investigative worker who spoke with me. And in the hallway outside of the court, we went over everything, and she's the one who made the deal with me. And she had explained to me that my daughter would be back within 3 months, and I would have to take a parenting class, and then we're good to go. Sign the paperwork here, and we'll go into the court and let the judge know. So that's what I did. And the second that I signed that paperwork, I also could never get back a hold of that investigative worker. And the reason I was trying so hard to get a hold of that worker is because that is the worker who made the arrangement with me. And the second that the permanent worker called me and came over to talk to me, you know, I explained this to her that, you know, in court, this is what, you know, such and such worker told me. And the lady laughed at me and told me, no, it'll be at least a year if you get your child back. And so, of course, I was going crazy trying to get a hold of that worker, and I could not. I called and called. I went there 3 times. They kicked me out. Nothing. Desiree says, yes, I'm so lucky to have found y'all. I barely found you, and I think it's divine timing. I've been looking for you everywhere for years. Yes, I definitely agree. It's a godsend, really. I wish so much that I would have had this back then, because I promise you things would have gone so much different. Because you don't think that, you know, you're going to get screwed over by the courts, you know, by your own public defender. You don't think that. It's not a normal thought. And yeah, it's just sorry, one second. It's just so crazy that you can never get a hold of that investigative worker again, the one who made the deal with you, the one who you signed and made the deal with. Like, why can't we ever get a hold of these workers again? And what are some things that you guys have done to get a hold of that worker? Because I never was able to get a hold of her again. And nothing that she said to me actually happened. None of it at all whatsoever. It's like they want to make some kind of deal with you to get you in and out of the court, mostly in, so they can see how much money they can make off of you, and how many more classes they can put you in. And I believe your child and you have mental health conditions. Oh, really? That's funny, because now you just got thousands more dollars because of it. And a lot of the times it's not even the case. It's normal when you're going through something like this to react and to have emotion and to feel and to hurt. And for somebody to tell you that because you're hurting and you're reacting, you're crying because your kids are not with you, for anyone to tell you that that makes you mentally unstable or mental or whatever, that's just crazy. You wouldn't be human if you didn't react that way. But they like to take advantage of the situation and, say, oh, parent's irate. Oh, the parent has major health conditions, mental health, because look at how they're behaving. And it just looks really bad. Another thing, kind of on that note is, again, I keep on seeing every day, different situations. I really encourage people, especially like online, to send me the videos of what they're going through. I really like seeing them, and every single time it just really shocks me, believe it or not. And what shocks me even more, kind of, is when parents react badly. And like I said, it is completely normal to react badly because you just lost your child, and no, how dare you, I'm not letting you in my house, and just to go off. But to cross a line and to tell a social worker to F off, and that you're smarter or better than her, or I've heard 10,000 different things that should not have been said to the worker. No matter what, that is their job. They are doing their job. Whether they're doing it right or whether they're good people or not, that's another story. But it's really important for your case you're representing yourself when you talk, when you dress yourself, when you, have phone interviews, all of that. You're representing yourself, and you need to make yourself appear like this is a joke, right? Like you are a wonderful parent. What they're saying is just all wrong. And if you're screaming and cussing at them and telling them where to go and what to do, and, that is not looking good on you at all. It's really not. And the things that I've been hearing lately that people are saying to workers, I understand, but I don't know how you think that could make you look good. And it's not that you want them to look, it's more than that. It's that you want to present yourself in a way that shows them that you are way above this, that what they're saying about you is so wrong and this is a joke. How could you, and when you're cursing and being irate and, telling them to shove the paperwork up there, that is not looking good. And they will turn that around so many different ways to make you look bad and to say that, well, this is how the parent acts, so I think that the child is better off in foster care at this point until the parent goes through some kind of anger management class. Well, then there you go. Then they get even more money for putting you in another class. And that's another however many months that you don't have your kid with you, all because of something as stupid as, saying what you're thinking in your head to these people. I mean, it's not easy. It is much easier said than done. Gosh, I've wanted to lose it on my workers so many times, and you do hear sometimes that people have a good worker, but so far I've never experienced one that was actually decent. Let's see. Colette says, because I cried when I spoke about my boy's DCS, said I was unstable and couldn't control my emotions. Yep. It literally almost made me crazy. I just couldn't understand where they were coming from. That is exactly my point. That is exactly what I'm saying here. She says, I never swore, always very professional. That's how you need to be. You're right. You're really right. And again, I'm going to say it 100 times. It is much easier said than done, because we're talking about the most precious thing on this planet, which is your child. And, gosh, I would, in a normal situation, like I would never, ever let some random stranger, talk to my child, let alone take him away from me, and that already makes you crazy. So you got to try to keep it together. I'm just seeing a whole lot of it lately where people are really going above and beyond to disrespect social workers, which I don't have any respect for most of them, but for the sake of your case, it is worth it to try to keep it together as much as you can. I know that's difficult. Anyways, moving on to the next thing. Okay, I have a story for you guys. I don't know if I should be saying anything about this or not, because it's something that I found online, but I really wanted to discuss it with you guys. So there was a grandparent saying that CPS removed the baby, and we're talking like a baby here, and it started with the parents. The mom, she came home from work and realized that her baby's leg was a little bit purplish red looking, so she took her baby to the hospital, where they found many different breaks in the leg. However, all of the breaks were at different healing stages. And grandma's trying to insist that this is just so absurd that they took the kid and nobody else is around the kid except for mom and maybe baby daddy, and they're not sure what happened or how this could have happened, and that it's wrong that they took the baby. Well, it's cases like this that really confuse me and bother me, because it makes the rest of us kind of look bad. And I try to be fair here and wrap my brain around like, how could this be possible where it's not like a bad situation? Like, I understand that there's like health issues, maybe like some kind of osteoporosis. I don't even know. I don't see how, that's okay. And to make a big ordeal and to fight and say you're going to sue CPS and, contact advocates and stuff to help you to fight a case like this, it really breaks my heart, because at what point is it actually like necessary to take the child? And I really hate to say that, because there's always, reasons that we don't really know about, but to have that many breaks in the leg, and I think the child was like maybe 8 months old or less. So to have a bunch of breaks at different healing levels, that's kind of alarming to me. And it really just, like I said, it really bothers me because of all the parents and the people out there who really do legitimately have a good case, a good civil case, and they do, like, they are wonderful, amazing parents, and the children were taken away for really dumb, stupid reasons that probably weren't even true. And then you have cases like this, and it just, I guess it bothers me more because I was a child of abuse, and my mother continued to get away with it. She was able to blind the workers every time. Real narcissistic, And so, I don't know, my heart kind of feels bad. I don't know what you guys think, but, it kind of hurts me to hear stuff like this. And what really surprised me is, I have a ton of different groups on like Facebook, and it's all regarding CPS and illegally taking kids and whatever. And this is the very first time that I've experienced anything like this. And the whole reason why I even clicked on this in the first place was because this person had a this grandmother had a ton of people respond. There was like over 200 responses, all saying like, are you kidding me? Like, this is just absurd. How could you say your daughter's innocent on this? Like, something is going on. And she responded to, like, I thought this was a support group. I thought, you guys are supposed to help me here and be supportive. But not one of them was supportive. Not one out of the 200 and whatever responses. So I'm not the only one that feels this way, obviously. And yeah, it really bothers me. And like I said, I do understand kids getting hurt. I really do. But this seems to be, I don't know, it's rubbing me the wrong way a little. And I just wanted to share that with you guys. Also, I'm hearing a lot as well of social workers really getting their way with just about everything. And nobody will listen. For example, when the social workers do come out and they bring the police officers with them, nobody really cares what you have to say. The cops don't care what you say. The cops are going off of the social worker and what the social worker says. And a lot of the times, these social workers are like kids or people who, number one, don't know you. Number two, probably don't even know how to be, take care of kids because they're so young and don't have any of their own. And, to try to tell me how to parent my kid when you don't have any kids and you just barely graduated high school, that is so annoying. It really, really is. And I remember before, like, my big case happened, my ex got stupid and called CPS, jealousy reasons, of course. And it was really crazy because, I know how it goes. I've been doing it since I was a kid and, made sure that everything was spotless and the fridge was clean and, the whole deal. And the worker came out and didn't even look around, didn't even say anything, and sat me down and gave me her card and said, on behalf of social services, I want to apologize that we never did anything for you as a kid, but we want to do something now. And we believe that, your sister has just gone to the hospital and we believe that your mother has something to do with it. And here's our card. And now we want your help. You want my help? I thought you were going to take my kid. And they were telling me, like, no, we're not even here because of that. And everything looks great. The room looks great. Like, we're not worried about you at all. And we know that, this call is, false allegations. So the worker leaves, and about a month and a half later, the same thing happens. The same person calls with the same exact allegations. And two social workers came over, very, very young, and they were going through everything in my house. They separated my daughter and I was in my bedroom, and she was sitting on the couch with the social worker, and where my bedroom was and the couch was, like, my daughter could see right into the room. And the worker was asking me if I take any medications or anything like that. And so I opened my drawer and I had these like chewable melatonin sleeping aid things. And of course my daughter sees this happen. So my daughter, and she was only like 3 years old, and she immediately tells the worker that, oh, I take those chewables to go to sleep. Well, they're not children's, they are adults. And I do have a sleep aid for children, but I gave it to my daughter one time on an airplane when she was little and learned that she has the opposite effect. It gives her crazy energy. So I never had given them to her after that. They were just in my medicine cabinet, not even in my drawer. But so my daughter tells this to them, and they are freaking out. They are in and out of the house, calling their supervisor, asking what to do. And then they tell me that they want me to sign a contract, like saying that I'm never going to give my daughter pills and like just some crazy stuff. And what's really crazy is that this is the stuff that, my mother kind of did to me, forcing pills down my throat, and they really didn't care. So that's the last thing I'm going to do, because I've already been through it as a child. I'm not going to do it to my child. So they're trying to force me to sign this contract. And I'm trying to explain to them that, look, she knows about them because, they're just for whatever. And she has taken hers as a kid, so she remembers. And I told them at the last second, when they were really like telling me that I had to sign this contract and I'm gonna have to go to court and all this stuff. And so I kind of stopped the whole deal, and I said, you know what? Why don't you ask my daughter what flavor it is? Why don't you ask her what it tastes like? And of course, she said it tastes like bubblegum when it was really grape. So because of that one little tiny last detail that I threw in there, they finally left and did not make me sign anything. But the fact that they were trying to do that to me, and they were at my house for hours, going in and out, calling their superior or whatever, because I think they were so young and this was kind of one of their first ordeals. They didn't know what to do. But that looks really bad on their department, I would think. And I mean, I do think. And it's really unfair to the families, to send out fresh baby-faced workers who don't have enough training, to send them out by themselves without, somebody who's been there for a while to train them. It's really annoying. And I've heard several people tell me the same thing, that, they're dealing with a brand new social worker who really doesn't know what they're doing. And that can be very frustrating. And that's the reason why it is so important for you to do your homework. You have to know what you're doing in this game. And I really wish that it's more, I really wish people would talk about this more. And, when you do go to family court, there should be somebody there, like some kind of advocate or someone who's like kind of explaining what to do. The clerk doesn't know what to do. They're just doing their job, and they have the whole courthouse. I'm talking about on the floor for, social services kind of cases. Like, there should be somebody, which, maybe I'll end up doing that. Somebody needs to just set up in the courtroom and hand out pamphlets and help. And, there isn't anything like that. There is no help. Even if you get a public defender, that's really, really not going to help you. It's not. And most of the people that they target can't really afford attorneys, which is why they do this. I have noticed a lot of the time when you have a private attorney, things go very different. And that's not just with family law. It's with like everything in law, that if you have an attorney who's well known and well respected in the court, it really is a game changer. I mean, it really, really is. And it's, on one hand, it's really unfair. Really, really unfair. If you think about it, like, two people can be going through the exact same thing, the exact same details. One has a public defender and one has a private attorney. And both of those cases, even though identical, both have two very different outcomes, simply because of the private attorney. And I'm sure most of you know what I'm talking about. So it really helps to have a private attorney when it comes to this. And you know what? I'm just going to say it. If you're really going through something like this, I wouldn't even mess around. Like, if you can figure out a way to get a private attorney, not just a private attorney, but somebody who knows their stuff and is well, what's it called? They have a lot of good reviews and like really, really good do your homework kind of stuff. Even if you have to, mortgage your house or, beg your parent or whatever you have to do, I would just do it, because we're talking about your child. And going in without a really good attorney, your chances of actually getting your child back are so slim. And, if you have to put up every single dime you owe, plus getting loans and whatever, it's worth it. It really, really is worth it. So really do whatever you can to try to get a private attorney if you can, because it is a game changer. Um, Also, let's see. Um, you know, parents shouldn't have to live in fear of CPS. They shouldn't have to live in fear of losing their kids. We shouldn't have to be afraid to go to the hospital or be afraid to go to school because because CPS is so involved in people's lives. Let's see. Colette says, you can get melatonin over the counter. I don't understand how anyone can tell you what you can and can't give your child. Great job on filling out this BS and saying the stupid service plan. You're 100% right. It is over the counter. Um, and yeah, I was very honest about it. I explained that the only time I gave my daughter anything like that was on an airplane, and we had a very bad experience. It was the other way around, so we don't do that anymore. And they really didn't care what I had to say. They were so determined to have a case. And back then, I was kind of brand new, being on the other side of the whole deal, not being a child. And I just couldn't believe it. To this day, I still can't. And they're still doing this, like, left and right. It could be whatever, but yeah, they shouldn't be able to tell you what you can and cannot take or can and cannot do, but they do. They feel like that's their job, and they're on a high horse, and these workers really feel entitled, which they kind of, they are. They do have a lot of rope. They do have a lot of pull, but it's really ridiculous because a lot of times they don't really know what they're doing. They don't really understand these situations. How could they? They don't know what your family life is. They're not with you every day, and they don't even care. Like, it's just about money to them. And how you can have a job like that and, tear families apart, it drives me nuts. And especially because they're supposed to only take the child away if the child is in immediate danger. I haven't heard of a case in months now where there actually was, immediate danger, and they're taking the children anyway. So, and there's nobody there to tell these social workers what they can and cannot do, or, what the law is and what it's not. They're kind of just doing whatever they want, and they get like a lot of respect for it. And I remember I was watching a video the other day, and it was an interview between the social worker and the father. And at some point during the interview, the father said, am I allowed to go get my paperwork? Like, in his own house, is he allowed to go get the paperwork? And that's the kind of treatment that they get. Like, they're holier than thou, like they're the law, like we have to go by everything they say, and it drives me nuts. Colette says, I strongly advise people to get a private attorney that specializes in juvenile dependency. That is correct. Believe it's a must in order to win your case. You know what? I'm telling you, it really is a big difference. And you're right. I should have mentioned that. Family court is, you have your family side where it's divorce court and, custody battles. But then you have juvenile dependency, which is in the same courthouse. And that's more of social services, and you lose your child and that kind of ordeal. And if somebody is trying to find an attorney and you're looking at family law, you need to really make sure that it's child dependency family law and not just family law, because it is very, very different. And it's hard for people to understand that. I get it, because, it's family law, right? It should all be the same. But it is not. It is very different. And I know that, especially like in my cases or whatever, I've had a lot of time in courtrooms, and I can tell you that depending on what kind of pull the attorney has, like how much respect they have in the courtroom, how they have, a rapport with the judge or the DA. It's everything. It really is. It makes all the difference. Again, like that, kind of goes with all courts that, having an attorney really is your best option. Never trust your public defender. And I hate to say that, I really do, but I honestly can't tell you any cases that I know of where it was a public defender and they won their case. It's just not how it works. You see, the public defenders are paid by the courthouse, by the state. They work for the courts. And before you even step foot into that courtroom, they all already have a plan. They all already know what they're going to do. Before they've even ever met you, they already know what their plan is. And it's really disturbing to think that no matter what you say or do, they don't really care. They're going to do it however they want to. And, of course they're going to offer you services. Of course, because they make money on every single class that you take. They make money on every single drug test you take. They make money off of basically every step of this process. And it's got to stop. It's got to. Like, I just cannot believe that we're still in this day and age doing it the same way. It's not working. And too many kids are getting taken away. And the fact that nobody's really doing anything about it still, it was back, when Clinton was in the office that, these rules were made that, they can get bonuses for taking kids away. That was quite a while ago. Like, why things aren't different yet, it beats me. It really does. Something else I was going to share with you guys, I thought was kind of interesting. So somebody had sent me a video of what they were going through right now. And apparently CPS came and they talked to the child by himself, and then talked to dad separate. And apparently the social worker told him that these conversations were being recorded. And so when she said that, he had asked, okay, well, if that's the case, do I have the right to get the audio of that, a copy of whatever was said? And originally they told him yes. They told him that he could have it. So when it comes down to the fact that he needs it, he's been promised this, he goes to the social services office after not being able to get a hold of anyone. He shows up several times asking for the audio from, when they were speaking to him. And nobody would. So he goes to the police station and talks to them and explains, like, look, this isn't right. I feel like they're violating my civil rights. I feel like this is completely illegal what they're doing. Also, they promised me that I could have a copy of this audio, whatever. Well, the cop is kind of just rolling his eyes at him, barely even listening to what he's saying. And then towards the end, the cop says, okay, well, let me take this and have one of our specialist attorneys look over it. And the gentleman said something that I thought was, kind of cool. He said that, he has proof of the worker lying several times. And he said, I'm in construction and I'm a construction worker. And if I lied on any paperwork, if I made false allegations, at work, I would be charged a $25,000 fine and 6 months in jail for lying. And that's what's up. Like, that's what's happening. Like, that is the rule in most places. Like, if you get caught lying, there is a fine and jail time. So why aren't our social workers having the same kind of deal? Why can't they be charged and fined for lying when, over and over again, people are proving that these workers are lying? Like I say a lot, you don't know what you're going into when you go into these courtrooms. And, you think that, okay, well, what's being said about me is a lie. So I'm just going to go to court and they're going to, brush all this off because this is just a lie. Well, they live off of lies and they make a lot of money off of lies. So they're cool with it, apparently. Except for when you lie, of course. But yeah, please make sure that you guys are recording everything. I mean, every single thing. It is so important. And I would teach your kids the same thing. If your kid is old enough to have a phone, I would definitely be teaching them already that if they have any kind of consultation or visit from a social worker, or if anybody comes to their school to try to talk to them, you need to teach your kids to whip their phone out immediately and hit record, and maybe have, the record or the camera button on the main page so they don't have to go digging through it, and come up with a plan with your child so that if they do come and talk to them at the schools, your child's prepared. I know a lot of you who are watching this right now, it's a little bit past that point, but you guys probably know somebody that does have kids who isn't going through it. And I think it's really important that we spread this message to as many people as possible. Let them know what's going on. Let your friends and family, or people with kids that let them know all of these different things that you've heard that CPS does. Let them know that it's a lie and it's BS, and these aren't all bad people who are going through this. These are decent, innocent people who are getting their lives torn upside down for no good reason. And, teach them as much as you can so that way they can be prepared. I think it should be like a law that if social workers or anybody goes to the school to talk to your children, I think that you should be notified and that they should have to get some kind of permission. And this is coming from a child who was abused, who begged to be taken away. And I still feel the same way. That's your child. It's your child, and who has the right to just talk to your child and mix up their words and say whatever they want? That's just ridiculous. Like, that's your child. How is that's okay? I don't know. I've said to you guys before, I think it's really cool. I've seen people make cards and laminate them, and on the front have your child's information and have it in big red bold writing saying, it's my child's civil right not to speak with anyone. And then on the flip side of the card have your information and phone number and way to reach you, and say, if you are there to talk to my child, do not, and here's my contact information, contact me instead. I think that's great. Really, really great. I know growing up, I had a friend who her mom raised her to always say, I don't know, ask my mom. I don't know, ask my mom. Whatever the question was, I don't know, ask my mom. And a few times that really, really came in handy for her. And I think it's the same thing when it comes to social services and them bombarding our lives. I think the best thing you can do is teach your child to, I don't know, ask my mom or ask my dad or ask my grandma, whoever it is, because they're children and they're naive and they get taken advantage of a lot. And it's very easy to manipulate a child to say what you want them to say. Kids are already so eventful, and they're great at coming up with stories, and and it's cute as heck, but not in this situation. And I've seen it over and over and over, you guys, so many times. I've seen the actual interview with the social worker and the child, and it makes me cringe, absolutely cringe, because the child says something and the worker completely changes it to something way off, and they'll lead the child into these conversations, and it really drives me nuts. There's a father, his name is Dwight Mitchell. I don't know if you guys have heard of him. His situation was, he had spanked his child. I believe him and his baby mama had something worked out that if, the child was hit, I don't know, they had some kind of game plan. Anyways, the child was spanked, nothing that left a mark, nothing that was traumatic, but CPS did get called. And he didn't see his child for 2 years. 2 years over something like that. And the law states that you can spank your child, you just can't leave a mark. So the fact that they just completely took his kid over it, I mean, it's just ridiculous, right? Anyways, if you're interested in his story, he actually has a website and he's got some great information. It's called familypreservationfoundation.org. And he talks about all kinds of stuff and what he went through personally. And I really admire what he says. But even more so, I really think that these videos with Vince Davis are just amazing. And again, you guys are so lucky to be able to have that. Again, Vince has another show tonight. It's a special with Miss G, I believe. Please, you guys, take advantage of these videos. Watch all of them with LJ, Cassandra, Miss G, just as many as you can, because this is something that's going to teach you what to do in your case. And even if you think that when you first start watching it that it has nothing to do with your situation, just keep watching, because I guarantee there'll be something that will help you. And you can't know too much when it comes to this. As much education as you can, the better. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's about it for today. I really appreciate you guys watching, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. Again, please stay tuned for Vince's show tonight. If anybody has any questions or wants to be on the show, please feel free to contact me. And yeah, have a great night. I'll see you guys next week.